All right, welcome everyone. We're so glad to have you here with us tonight. Today is Tuesday, June 9th at 2026. The time is 7 o'clock p.m. and we are convened as the Provo City School Board of Education. We are meeting at 280 West, 940 North in Provo, Utah, and we'll begin with a roll call. And this time, Melanie, we'll start with you.
Melanie Hall, Board Member.
Emily Harrison, Board Member.
Meg Van Wagenen, Board Member.
Wendy Dow, Superintendent.
Jennifer Partridge, Board President.
Gina Hales, Board Vice President.
Terry McKay, Board Member.
Lisa Boyce, Board Member.
Devin Daly, Business Administrator.
Okay, do we have a motion to convene our business meeting?
I move we convene our business meeting.
Motion made by Board Member Van Wagenen. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Second by Board Member Boyce. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, we are now in our business meeting, and we are going to start with our opening remarks by Board Member Lisa Boyce.
Okay, those who sit by me during these meetings know I get very emotional when we do the Pledge of Allegiance every time. I'm really grateful for the process we have here of people coming together to advocate for the things that they need, to be a voice for their concerns. And for me, the last 3.5 years, learning what it's like to be in this seat has been a huge educational process. I've made a lot of mistakes, and I'm sorry for those, and I continue to try to do better. But I love the process and the way that we can come together, disagree, advocate, and in the end make better decisions. So I wanted first to start off by saying that. Then second, I just needed to report back on, May is such a hard, busy month, but for me it was such a month of healing, and so I wanted to share an experience that I had as a board member. So besides my own preschool class graduations, which are very moving to me, like it's just so thrilling to cheer these little humans who've taught me so much on into their next phase of their educational process. But through the month of May, we have the privilege of sitting through quite a few graduational ceremonies. We sit through the Provo High and Timpview High graduations. We sit through the adult ed graduation, which is just so moving to me. There's so much courage present in that room. We sit through the Independence High School graduation. We sit through the East Bay Post High graduation, which is so joyful. And these aren't the kindergarten and sixth grade and all the other transitions and moving on spaces. And in that space, there's just this overwhelming thing. And I'll pick a moment in time sitting at Provo High graduation. Behind me on that stand are the principals of all of those elementary schools, representing all of the teachers who held that little kid in their sight and tried to connect and tried to instill in them some confidence as a learner, some joy and curiosity, some safety in a classroom, and kindness towards their neighbor. So that's kind of in behind me, and the district administration there, and all of the work, all of those hours that go in that I never appreciated, and I still don't really, to creating this moment. And then the choir and the orchestra are often playing or singing, and then the teachers walk in, and it's just, the students aren't even there yet, but you've got parents, and you've got cousins and aunties and uncles and neighbors and past teachers in the stands, and then these teachers walk in the room, and it is overwhelming, this sense of community care for those students. And then we stand and give maybe the most awkward high five, fist bump, handshake thing, one at a time as they walk past. And for 1 second, I tried really hard this year to look in every set of eyes and just think, I know a few of those students. I've been the parent of a few of those students. I know their journeys. I know what they conquered, what they battled. I know the people, the teachers who sat with them after school. I know the secretary who let them come sit in the office because they didn't have friends at lunch. I know all of that for just a couple of them. But every student there walking across that stage has their own journey and their own team or their own needs for a team. And there's just this spectacular thing that you see right then coming together, where students as a whole breaks down to every individual student one by one with that awkward knuckles, congratulations. They don't care who we are. They just want to get the picture and go sit back down. But for me, it's just like so healing when we're doing a job that is sometimes full of hard things and trade-offs and bad math and just trying to listen better and trying to understand. That's the why. And so for me, I just felt by the end of May like ready again, because I just remembered that it's okay if we all want to solve some of these issues in different ways, and we're working that out, and we might get things wrong, and then we might get them wildly right. But if these kids leave ready to do an apprenticeship, to be a better employer at a job, to further their education, to serve and lift in their communities, to someday sit in this place, it just felt so powerful. It's so powerful in that moment. And so tonight, for my opening remarks, I just wanted to say how grateful I am. I'm grateful for every person who took time in June to come here to this meeting to share your voice with us. How grateful I am for the teachers who are already thinking about next year. I know I am, trying to learn better practices for my classrooms. The administrators who hopped straight into meetings right after school got out to share a vision for next year, to look at their data, to make new plans for how to really move the needle for every learner who comes to them as individuals one by one. And I just wanted to open with my gratitude for the work of our community for our students. I think it's spectacular.
Thank you so much, Lisa. Appreciate that. Next, our Assistant Superintendent of Elementary Education, Jared Seitz, will lead us all in the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, thank you. Next is our Community Connections portion of the meeting. And before we start with some of our recognitions, I just want to announce, if you're here to give public input, we have forms on the back table. And if you've not already done so, please go ahead and fill out a form, turn it into Bonnie over here, who will then get it up to me, and I will call you up when that portion of the meeting happens after our recognition. But we're going to start with recognizing our foundation board. And I believe we've got a video. Or Wendy. I do. Okay, go ahead, Wendy.
We just want to express tremendous appreciation to our foundation for all of the work that they do. Many of you may not even know that we have a foundation, but it is a nonprofit branch of the work that we do here in Provo City School District, and they support our strategic plan, they support our teachers, they support our students. They do everything from, well, it's going to tell you in the video, so I'm just going to let the video play, and they just do an awesome job, so we're excited to recognize them. One of the things that Provo City School District is so lucky to have is we have an awesome foundation. First and foremost, everything that they do is voluntary. They spend lots of time in our schools. They spend lots of time in meetings determining how they're going to help us with money that they raise, and then they sponsor large events throughout the school year. So one of those events is our golf tournament that takes place in September. Then they do teacher mini grants, which allow our teachers to do really innovative projects that align with our strategic plan. And finally, they also help us with the Easter basket auction to raise additional funds, to help with scholarship money, to help with just whatever projects principals and schools and families and teachers need. And they then will allocate those funds as needed to principals' pantries, to sometimes gas cards for families, just whatever it is that we ask for, they are always there to help us. We want to thank them for all of the work that they do, for the tireless amounts of time that they put in. These individuals are super busy in other full-time jobs, in other service capacities throughout Provo, and yet they dedicate a ton of time and energy to us because they care about the next generation, they care about the students here in Provo City School District, and we are so fortunate to be able to partner with them. So tonight, we want to give them a special recognition, just a big thank you from all of us here in Provo City School District for the work that they do and the opportunities that they create for our students across all of our schools.
Can we have our foundation board members that are here come up so we can recognize you? We have Chantel, Bjorn, and Michelle Wages, so thank you. Woohoo!
You're awesome. Thank you so much.
So much. One more round of applause. They're awesome.
Unless you think they're the entire board. We had a lot who were out of town on summer vacation or things like that. So we'll make sure our other foundation board members receive their thank yous as well. So, all right, thank you, Wendy, and thank you again to our foundation board. We really appreciate you. Next is our Provo Way Awards, and we'll invite our Deputy Superintendent Jason Cox up to present those.
Good evening, school board. Thank you for this opportunity to recognize these wonderful people. We love the fact that people will come in June, and you know they are very deserving of this recognition. I'm going to go ahead and read off the names. We'd love to let everybody go ahead and applaud for each person and have you stand when we call your name. So this month we're recognizing Tommy Hershey, the Shoreline Middle School principal. We're also recognizing Jan Jardine, District Work-Based Learning Coordinator. We're recognizing Marcia Robinson, a Spring Creek employee. We're recognizing Jennifer Hatfield, Wasatch Orchestra teacher. And Sarah Thompson, our Edgemont social worker. We have a video that demonstrates both that someone has nominated them and why they nominated them and why they were winning the award. And then afterwards, we want to give each of our board members the opportunity to thank you personally. So after the video, we're going to invite you up and have you do similar to what you saw earlier. Go along here and allow them to thank you personally. So we'll go ahead and go to that point.
Mr. Hershey is the best principal I have ever had and ever could have. He is very kind to all and even helps clean the lunchroom. He is always asking how I am doing, and we just love him. He is the kindest principal ever. I hope you nominate him because he deserves it. Thank you.
Jan has been an amazing mentor. As a new hire, she has given me incredible support and training to help me with more than 90 interns. I truly appreciate all she does.
It's been such a fun year to have Mrs. Hatfield in orchestra. We enjoy listening to her playing with the students. She leads by example. She has her violin out and plays with them as they're playing, and it helps the kids feel like they really are successful and they really are playing beautiful music. They're excited to go with her and they feel positive about what they're doing, and they're excited to learn and want to know more and want to become better at playing their instruments. It's pretty amazing what she's been able to accomplish with these kids in a few months, and to be able to hear them and see them and know that these kids are going to go on and use this experience they're having as more than just a music experience, but really building themselves up and creating lifelong learners. They are excited about life.
Marcia Robinson is our school's ESL aide. She is so positive with students and works hard to build relationships with them. She is a great influence in the lives of our multilingual learners. When you visit her small groups, you see students who are engaged in learning and having a good time doing it. She is especially good with our new-to-country students, helping them learn the English language by using good teaching strategies and setting high expectations for these students. She is happy, caring, and a wonderful co-worker. We love having Marcia be a part of Spring Creek Elementary.
Sarah has gone above and beyond in her responsibilities at Edgemont. Not only does she help students with social and emotional needs, but she also runs the 6th grade student council, the Kindness Club, and Hope Squad. She's always willing to step in and help support students and staff. If you come to our school, you will see her checking in with students, teachers, and parents with a smile on her face and care in her heart. She's making a huge difference at Edgemont Elementary by creating a safe environment where students, teachers, and parents feel valued and heard.
Come on up right over here and allow our board members to thank you for the work that you do.
All right, let's give our Provo Way Award winners one more. I always just love watching these videos and learning of experiences that are happening every day in our classrooms and in our schools, and the good work that our people are doing to make the experience wonderful for our students. So thank you so much. All right, next we will move on to our public input portion of the meeting. If you would like to do so and have not yet already, you can fill out a form in the back and turn it into Bonnie over here, and it will get passed up here. And when I call your name, if you'll come up, say your name and what elementary boundary you reside in, and then you'll have 3 minutes to share your comments. And just so everyone knows, the board is here to listen. We don't talk back and forth, but if there's something to follow up on, we will follow up on it after the meeting at some point with you. So, okay, first is Jenny Isom.
Hi, I'm Jenny Isom. I live in the Canyon Crest boundaries. I haven't followed a lot of school board decisions very closely. The last meeting was the first one that I have come to. And it kind of felt like maybe coming in with a fresh set of eyes, you kind of see things a little different. And when I came to that meeting, I heard so many people talking about how terrible Timpanogos Elementary is and why it needs to be rebuilt, blah, blah, blah. And when I left, I thought there's kind of some obvious answers that I feel like we're not talking about. If I were to come in and consult with the district and I could kind of summarize the current issues as school populations are declining, student numbers are declining. We've recently talked about school closures, and we have a school that's so bad that needs to be rebuilt. If I came in as a consultant, I would say, then that's the school you close. It seems really like if that school is as bad as everyone is saying, and we need to close schools, I don't really understand why we're not talking about that as a solution that kind of answers the current and future problems. I mean, I understand it's a big school, it's popular because it has DLI, and frankly because it's nicer and newer than a lot of our elementary schools, but you could move the DLI program to Franklin, which is an underutilized school. Suddenly that school gets full, and then you don't have to rebuild for $50 million. You could move the district offices to the Timpanogos building, or like as we've seen with Provo High, right? BYU is used at fine when it's an over 18 population. You could move the district offices to the Dixon site, which I feel like was kind of the origin of all of these problems that we keep circling around. But I understand the rebuild was approved 3 years ago, right? Things have kind of changed since then. And wisdom is usually taking into consideration the current climate and redirecting or refocusing and thinking about current situations. I understand this is an unpopular opinion just because school closures are an unpopular opinion. I mean, that in general is unpopular. I personally don't think that Timpanogos is so bad that putting a fence along 500 West and redrawing the boundaries wouldn't alleviate a significant amount of problems before spending $50 million to rebuild this school. And I understand that you weren't on the school board that voted to build it there. Maybe if you had been, you wouldn't have voted to build it on that site. But part of the responsibility to taxpayers is being responsible with the resources we have and not just reversing decisions about a school that's only 18 years old. We're coming off a decade of rebuilding Provo, Edgemont, Shoreline, Wasatch, and Timpview. So it's really hard to think that we can sustain this pace, especially rebuilding an 18-year-old school. You know, it just kind of reminds me of the governor declaring an emergency state of, you know, lack of water and simultaneously approving a data center that's going to consume millions. They seem like they're reconsidering. I hope that you guys will too.
Thank you, Jenny. Next is Shannon Bingham.
Hello, board members. With elementary enrollment declining since 2020 and projected continued decline for at least 10 to 15 years, and schools facing potential closures due to low numbers and budget shortfalls, spending $75 million on a new elementary and rebuild is not a responsible use of taxpayer dollars. Planning to use the Timpanogos building for CTE programs, adult ed, East Bay Post High, and district offices, etc., is a massive commitment when we're already short on funds and discussing closures. This retrofit plan of Timpanogos is really still just talk, yet demolition of Dixon is set for July and rebuild of Timpanogos is hoped for this fall, winter. Where did the 25 million renovation numbers come from? What are the exact square footage requirements projected for the various programs you're hoping to fit in the renovation, and what are the specific CTE classes? Have we configured they all fit alongside district offices? These plans take several months at best, and yet the rebuild and renovation are proceeding forward as if everything will fit and function in a Timpanogos renovation. There are no architectural drawings, square footage analysis, or floor-by-floor layout showing how these programs, plus district offices, will physically fit. No detailed cost breakdown for the 25 million retrofit. What specific renovations, equipment, or startup costs are included? No feasibility study confirming compatibility or long-term operating costs. The district notes startup costs will require grants and funding. How does the Provo School District plan to continue funding these CTE programs long-term, especially with funding declines? What options have been discussed for CTE classes being incorporated on high school campuses so students don't have to travel? Possibly the teachers could be the ones that travel between the high schools instead. High school students and adult learners will have to travel no matter where it's located. The central location doesn't solve transportation realities in a city this size. Taxpayers deserve priorities that match reality. Declining elementary numbers, not speculative multi-use renovations and new rebuilds that add long-term debt or costs. Let's pause this, get detailed feasibility studies with real numbers first, and focus limited resources on core K through 12 needs instead of a $75 million gamble. Thank you.
Thank you, Shannon. Next is Ethan Busby.
Hello, I'm Ethan Busby. I live in the Timpanogos boundary. My children have gone to that school for several years. And I appreciate the chance to hear from some perspectives on this. I don't agree with some of the ones that have already been said today and previously. And I guess I just want to express a concern that as we're making decisions about where schools are located and what should be renovated, that too often I hear concerns of solely about cost. And far too little said about what is in the best long-term interest of the children in the district, of the largest number of the children in the district. Talking about relocating a school that's one, if not the largest elementary school in the district, to me, risk disrupting the largest number of possible students in thinking about readjustments. I think part of the problems that we have at Timpanogos presently are because we've made far too many short-term considerations about cost, not enough long-term consideration about what is in the best interest of the most number of students. And that's a hard message to hear because sometimes it requires us to do things that may be frustrating or discouraging for our particular children. I think about this a lot. I have kids that go to our school district, but nonetheless, I think we have a responsibility to think not just next year, not just the year after that, but how can we make choices that will diminish disruptions and encourage stability and success in the largest number of students that are in our district boundaries. That's why I'm supportive of rebuilding Timpanogos at Dixon. It's why I'm supportive of maintaining the DLI programs that are there. It's why I'm supportive of not relocating those students to other places. I have lots of specific reasons for that are much more than I could say in a minute and 30 seconds. But again, I'm just discouraged that too much of our conversation about what to do is about what are the short-term expenses and not what are the right long-term investments to make for the students that we serve in our school district. And I think that that's the opposite way we ought to be thinking about how to fund students, that the decisions that we make will affect them and their lives for decades to come, not just what's our budget going to be next year or the year after. Thank you.
Thank you, Ethan. Next is Jim Burkhart.
Good evening. I live in the Provo Peaks district. I have a statement from Melanie McCord, a community activist for over 30 years. In the decades that I have been watching Provo city issues, I have seen various school boards make some really good and some really bad decisions. Right now, the Provo School Board is making decisions with very limited vision. The downtown area needs one elementary school. Rebuilding an 18-year-old school is ludicrous. There is a need for one central city elementary, and the promises made to the Dixon neighborhood were foolish. Things change, boundaries are the first that should. Children are not harmed by having to change schools or by having to ride a bus. In fact, if addressed correctly by parents, it can be an educational experience. Dixon property should be sold for redevelopment and the students move to Timpanogos. Additionally, the district offices sit on some of the most valuable land in the entire city. IHC would pay millions for it, as would BYU, in order to accommodate the new medical school. The PSD offices, especially the school bus parking lot, should be allowed to rise to a much better purpose. If the board rebuilds at the Dixon location and/or rebuilds a relatively new school that is perfectly serviceable, it will have acted without considering the needs of the larger community. Thank you.
Thank you, Jim. Next is Brenna Borup.
I'm Brenna Borup from Canyon Crest Boundaries. I come to these meetings because I want to keep trying to bring new ideas of what could be done because I am against having Timpanogos rebuild at this time. I am not saying that is something that will never be done and that shouldn't ever be done, but with the pause of closures of closing schools just happened, I think it would be valuable to also do this with the rebuild at this time when there's so many things that are still up in the air. I am just nervous that, we've heard that there's tenure analysis that you look at for enrollments and areas that are growing. And we paid, just did this last year to have a consultant come and do that for us. But we're in this scenario because 18 years ago, they didn't project correctly on what Timpanogos Elementary School was going to do. And so now it's overfilled. So I'm just really hesitant that we, aren't making that same mistake again right now, especially knowing that numbers are decreasing. And we've known that for a little while already. There was a huge decline from COVID and then it kind of has plateaued and just continued to decrease since then. But since that time in 2020, we rebuild Wasatch Elementary, and we're still in these declining times, and we're continuing to just rebuild schools. It just doesn't make sense to me. So I am really strongly for putting a cap onto enrollment in Timpanogos like we have done to other schools. You are not able to enroll in certain grade levels at other schools for the DLI program because they are full at other schools. So I don't understand how we got here. In fact, like that the board maybe should have looked at this a while ago before we got to the point where now it's so overfilled that we have to do this for safety precautions. So let's start by putting a cap on school and then boundary readjustments. It would not affect the entire school, but it would definitely help the enrollment of other neighboring schools that are under and have been considered for closure in the past, so that hopefully will never have to resurface again. And I just strongly believe that there's other things that we can do to try first. And this is Provo City is a business. It's a big, giant business. And if things happen, you make decisions 3 years prior, but you can pause this, so there's no need to rush into it. You can keep the plans for a long time, and you can sit on this until we have tried these other things that would be very minimal cost, and just see what happens. Thank you.
Thank you, Brenna. All right, the last one I've received is from Chanel Robinson, and as she comes up, I'll just say if there's anyone else here who would like to give comment, please go ahead and fill that out and get that turned in. Thank you.
Hi, good evening. My name is Chanel Robinson. I live in the Lakeview boundaries. However, two of my children attend Timpanogos and the other attends Shoreline. I'm here tonight to speak in favor of the Timpanogos rebuild. I appreciate all the time the board has given to this over the past few years and has been very respectful and considerate of the concerns of the Timpanogos and Dixon communities. I think from things I've been hearing in the community and things I've been hearing tonight, there's been some confusion going on about this issue. And the biggest one is that the Timpanogos rebuild somehow affects potential school closures somewhere else. Those are two different issues. They don't affect each other. And I think publicly going on record to say that is helpful, that those are two different funding streams. Rebuilds come out of facility budgets. Potential school closures are looking a lot more at staffing, and that comes out of general budgets. So these really are two different issues. And rebuilding Timpanogos does not mean that schools other places have to close for any reason whatsoever. Another one that I think is important to understand is that this issue goes back many, many years to a previous board when the decision was made to move Dixon to the current Shoreline site. A commitment was made to the community at that point that that facility would be taken down. It's unsafe for being used, and that a new school facility would be built in that place. As the board considered options last year and in previous years, there were 3 options presented, all school facilities, all which would cost the district money. Leaving it empty was not an option on the table. We were not going to leave the school board was not going to leave that site just sitting empty in the Dixon neighborhood. So understanding that something was going to be done there and something that was going to cost the district money was going to be done there no matter what. And I appreciate that as the board listened to these issues and talked about some of the issues that were going on at Timpanogos, they did think to the future to avoid the problems we've been having in the past. Timpanogos is a vibrant and thriving school. To close it, I think, would be a huge mistake. It serves a large portion of the population of Provo that is vastly underserved in a lot of other ways. In the past few years, Timpanogos has taken the most new and country students of any school in the district. We have a vibrant community of refugees and immigrants and students who don't speak English. Families choice into Timpanogos because it's a wonderful school. And they come because they feel comfortable, because there's staff that speak Spanish, because the teachers speak Spanish, because there's families that they can connect with. So adjusting school boundaries, I do not think would actually solve any problems at Timpanogos. Families will continue to choice in as a very large choice in population. And if we adjust the boundaries, families will just continue to choice in. It won't drop numbers. And unless we want to stop families from being able to choose the school that they want in the district, which I don't think anyone wants to do, school boundary adjustments are not going to drop numbers there. And even when the school was opened at a population of 500, it was already too small the day it opened. Portables were brought out on the very first day. It just, because of decisions made in the past, it was built too small at the very beginning. So those are all issues to consider, and I thank you guys for your time and consideration.
Thank you, Chanel. And our last person to come tonight is Chantel Bjorn.
I'll just be really brief. I'm in the Lakeview boundaries. And as someone who has been following all of these issues in detail for the last several years, I've seen where the decisions come from. I've seen the discussions and why decisions are headed in one direction. I've seen how the processes, where they become public knowledge and spread around based on where they are in the actual process itself. And I just wanted to reiterate all of what Chanel has just said. I understand that this Timpanogos decision was one that isn't just let's just build a school. It was very much a year's decision, very involved with many different processes and such, and that just wanted you all to know, I'm not going to take my 3 minutes, but with my involvement in the last several years, I understand how complicated this is and how open and willing you guys have been in discussions and wanting to make sure that the public understands what is going on. I know not everybody is able to access everything all the time, but I have seen just how much you guys have tried to make the information accessible, and I just wanted to thank you for that.
Thank you, Chantel. I want to thank everybody for coming tonight and sharing your comments with us. We are always grateful for the involvement of our community through our public comment, through our emails, and appreciate the way in which people choose to engage in finding solutions in dignified ways. So thank you so much. All right, next we'll move on to our business items. And the first one is our large purchase request for the 95% group curricular materials. We'll turn it over to Devin for a summary.
So this is the curriculum materials for the lower grades for 95% group. It's for next year's budget. In next year's budget, it just needs to be approved so we can get the PO issued so the materials can get here before the beginning of school.
Okay, I will entertain a motion.
I move that we approve the large purchase request for 95% group curriculum materials in the amount of $79,795.14 as discussed in open meetings tonight.
Okay, motion made by Board Member Boyce. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Vice President Hales. Any discussion on the motion?
I'm just glad we're going to scoop it early enough. Like, get it before.
Get it in time to be able to use it. Great.
All about that.
All right. Let's go ahead and take a vote. All in favor with aye?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, that passes unanimously. Next is our negotiated contract agreement with our Provo Educators Association.
So this is the agreement that we talked about in study session with Provo Education Association.
Bless you.
It's nice to see you. Sorry. I thought I could hold it. It wasn't going to happen. Negotiated agreement with Provo Education Association on our licensed educators. So you're approving this agreement for their salary and benefits working conditions for 2026-2027.
All right, I'll entertain a motion.
I move that we approve the negotiated agreement with the PEA for the 2026-27 school year.
Great motion made there by Board Member Hall. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Board Member Harrison. Any discussion? Okay, all in favor with aye?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, that passes unanimously. And next we'll move on to the negotiated agreement with our next association.
This association, PESPA, is our classified association, so all of our education support professionals. Some of these are contracted and others are hourly. It negotiates their pay rate, and also if they are eligible for benefits, also lays out specific benefits for the 26-27 school year.
All right. Do we have a motion on this item?
I move that we approve the negotiated agreement with PESPA for the 2026-27 school year.
Motion made by Vice President Hales. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Second by Board Member Van Wagenen. Any discussion? All right. All those in favor with aye?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, that passes unanimously. And our next agreement.
This is our agreement with our administrators, directors, and professional technical employees, lays out their salary and benefits as well. They're not technically an association, but we set up an agreement with them.
All right. Do we have a motion?
I move that we approve the negotiated agreement with administrators and professional technical employees for the 2026-2027 school year as discussed in study session.
Motion made by Board Member Boyce. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Second by Board Member Hall. Any discussion?
Just before we close out all of the agreements, I just want to thank all of the people that come to the table to do that negotiating. I recognize that this is the effort of a lot of employees and a lot of work. We just get to see it kind of after a lot of that work has been done, but just acknowledging that, I'm really grateful.
That's what I was going to say, except you were much more eloquent. So thank you, Lisa. Appreciate that. I echo that. So, any other discussion? All right, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? All right, that passes unanimously. Next item is our consent calendar. We had the opportunity to ask questions about it in our last meeting, in our study session. So do we have a motion to approve the consent calendar?
I move that we approve the items on the consent calendar.
Okay, motion made by Board Member Hall. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Second by Board Member Van Wagenen. Any other discussion or questions? Okay, all in favor with aye?
Aye.
Any opposed? That passes unanimously. All right, next is our section of the agenda where we have various reports. So we'll start with Devin with our business administrator report.
With all of the discussions that have been had in the public, I really appreciate the public that have come in to meet with me and Wendy, who've wanted to understand situations before judging situations. So, and that's always my invitation, is to have people come and talk to me and figure out exactly our thought processes and some of the financial implications of what we're working with. And that's always, we tend to have an open door policy around the meetings that we have, but we really do try to meet with people so that they can understand school finance and how that process works.
Okay, thank you, Devin. Next is our, bless you, is our board member roundtable, since we don't have our student board members with us this month. Do we have anyone who would like to share anything from your committee assignments or anything you've been seeing? Go, Terry.
I will.
Go ahead, Terry.
Jennifer and I went to the Utah School Board Association Delegate Assembly on Friday and Saturday.
For the Frisbees.
No Frisbees.
Second.
It's all online now. Sorry. The Frisbees are fun, but no.
That's how we used to vote there, for those who are watching. I wonder what we're talking
I'm
about.
sorry.
We'd hold up a Frisbee.
So fun when you raise a Frisbee to vote. It's amazing. That's it.
No, and then we went over the USBA's legislative priorities for the next legislative session, which isn't till January, but it's good to be prepared ahead of time. And I also wanted to put a reminder out that the Franklin, Provo Peak, Spring Creek, Sunset View, Timpanogos, Westridge, and Independence and Provo High are all doing free breakfast and lunches for kids 0 to 18 years old. There are some days that are not going to be open, like Fridays and Monday, June 15th, and Thursday, July 2nd. And Independence is only serving meals through June 25th. So if you need those, please go get free food.
Our family's been using them, and it's been great.
I did make Thomas go to lunch by himself today, and I was so proud of him.
Nice. All right, thank you, Terry. Who else would like to update us?
Well, I serve on the finance committee, and I'm a slow study sometimes in school finance versus private industry finance. So when I try to think about it from my own lens, I can get myself kind of worked up around things, and I think I understand something. And I need to echo what Devin just mentioned, which is she spends a lot of time with me, but as I've gone through line by line, sometimes the same lines repeatedly, help me understand why this number has changed. Help me understand what this funding source has to do with it. Talk to me about how this supports our strategic plan. Even recently, people will know that I've had some questions on decisions and timing of decisions that we've been making. And I have gone in with those questions. And when you go to a state meeting with all of the superintendents and business administrators, you see people flocking around Devin Daly with their questions, with humor, and she knows her stuff. And she has been so helpful to me to help me actually understand more of the picture than I bring to the table with my personal background in finance for my own business and with my husband and with our work. And so I think I'm lucky to serve on that finance committee because I feel like that gives me the courage to keep pounding on Devin's door with my questions. But I have come to really understand the priorities behind the decisions that we're making and the things that we're doing, and to understand that it is with a view for the future, that it is a long-term wise course of action, and that there is fiscal responsibility through it. And so anyone wondering about that, which I have been wondering about that, should sit down and ask those questions and talk through it. And I might still come about things differently than other people, but at least I understand the whole picture, which I'm sitting in these meetings, so it's not like I haven't been trying to follow along, but it has still required that one extra step for me to be able to say, okay, I can now see that this is where we're going and why and how, and what it is and isn't costing taxpayers, and how it isn't using our resources. Stewardship of resources, from my perspective, is as important in our strategic plan as our students and their education. This is a joint effort for our whole community, and there is a responsibility to be good stewards and to take feedback and to ask those hard questions. So I just want to say that I'm impressed with the budget work that's being done. I think that we have learned ways to grow and things we can do differently or better, but I also think that it's worth the time to sit down and ask those questions and get into the granular spreadsheets that she pulls up. She has all these magic spreadsheets that she pulls up to help me and explain this to me. And so that's my report. It's worth it to spend some time in the finance office.
Thank you. All right, since we started on this side, I'm just going to ask Gina, do you have anything that you want to share?
No.
Okay, totally fine. Then we'll go to Meg.
No, I'm good.
Okay, Emily?
Happy summer.
Good, I'm good.
Okay.
The only thing I would say is to add to what Lisa said earlier in her opening remarks is just thank you for all the celebrations that we got to participate in May. Lots of hard work behind all those.
Yes, here.
Always so inspiring, right? I just want to add on a little bit to what Terry shared. It was great to go to the delegate assembly and be a part of that process. The 4 priorities that the Utah School Board Association has are to increase the funding framework for special education students and programs. We're going to really focus to get some more funding so that we don't have to spend as much as our general budget for that. And that is also a priority we know that the State Board of Education has. And the night before, when we had some legislators in a panel, Ariel DeFay, who is the vice chair of the House Education Committee, she had already said that special education is her #1 priority for this next session. And the Education Committee is already committed to studying it and working with Tracy Miller, who's also an education-friendly legislator. So that's something we'll probably see a lot of this next session. Our second priority as an association is to continue to fulfill the prior commitment for the at-risk funding with new money. The third one is to provide ongoing funding to support early literacy. And the last one is to continue collaboration on sustainable public education funding mechanisms. So that's like their discussions about property tax, income tax, the economic stabilization account, just including education voices at the table, and that we're thinking long term and not short term to safeguard our funding sources that way. And then I would just say I really enjoyed listening to our legislators that night. We had Ariel DeFay, Doug Welton, and who's also representative, and then Senator Hinkins. And I know there's always things that we wish would be different, but I do feel generally we have a good number of legislators who are really trying hard to do well by education. In fact, they said the education committee had the highest kill rate of a committee this last session. So that's good that they stopped some bills. Yeah, they pushed some pause on some of the bills. I think education also probably gets the most bills, but hey, they paused a lot of them. They talked about making relationships with your local legislators, and just along that vein, I just want to report our legislative committee has been talking about that. I think over the last few years we've done a good job of working on that. We do have a new legislator, Grant, right? Grant Pace?
Grant, yeah.
Yeah, who replaced Tyler Clancy. So we're excited to get to know him. So we'll be doing that at our legislative luncheon on the 22nd. I hope to have all of you there if you can be there. But that importance of building those relationships so that then during the session and when bills come up and things that they know us and value our opinion, I think that's really important, and I'm just proud of the work that we're doing as a board on that. So Ariel DeFay also said that we will probably see more default policies like they have done with the cell phone bill, with the technology bill, where they set up a reason for us to have conversations at the local level, but that ultimately the locals get to make the final decisions. They might have a sample policy, but as long as we have a policy. So that will be interesting to see what comes up with that. All right. Next is our superintendent's report.
We have some summer travel that's been approved because they do some camps over the summer. And then we do have the Shakespeare Festival in October. Timpview has turned in their paperwork. There were a couple of things I needed to clarify with them, so that one will get approved very shortly as well. I just wanted to express appreciation for everyone who did not bother me last week because it was the most amazing week off of my life. And it was really great to close my computer. And so I really apologize if things are slipping between the cracks, but I am slowly unburying myself. I don't think I realized just how much it grates on you over time. And so I was just really grateful. And I felt like a lot of people were just trying to handle things, and everybody handled everything really well. So I'm super grateful for an awesome team. I wanted to highlight a couple of things that I'm really grateful for in Provo. We did our administrative leadership conference the last week of May, and just there were a lot of individuals that put in a lot of time and effort. And I'm just really grateful for all of those people that come together, because it's not something that a single individual can do. And just the dedication, and you could see that our principals were so tired, and yet they were already talking about next year. And so we have to maybe rethink that, so we give them a little more time to maybe rest. Tomorrow and Wednesday, we have teachers coming in from our schools. Our biggest group is coming tomorrow at Shoreline. You're welcome to come. They're going to be meeting with their building leadership teams. And we're going to guide them through, just kind of remind them of what the purpose is of being teacher leaders, what that looks like as we look at data. And then they're going to be given some time to dive into their year-end data, and then to start looking at their school improvement plan for next year. And then what does that mean as we're really supporting rigorous instruction? That's our emphasis for next year, is making sure our instruction is really good. And I'm just really grateful for everyone that's putting that together as well. And then just some highlights that I want to do a shout out to. Our communications team is receiving a national award at the National School Public Relations something. It's called NSPRA. Anyway, they're receiving a gold medallion award for their attendance campaign. And so one of the things our principals actually asked for is they felt the principals that really embraced that campaign, we saw such improvement in data in attendance when they took that on and they received that support from Caleb and Shauna. And so now they've asked for the same thing with the governor's literacy initiative. So that's going to be our focus moving forward, to just continue. We're not going to stop the emphasis on attendance because it's really important, but also trying to put together a resources folder for all of the communication that needs to come from our district and from our principals about all that we're trying to do to help our students read well. We actually are getting a lot more traction in terms of provost serving in different capacities. So Michelle Eldridge is on the First Lady's, Abby Cox's reading initiative group. She'll actually serve on that, and actually made her aware of some funding problems. So some funding was taken away to support the bill now, and they weren't aware that that had happened. And so there's just some things. They have a lot of philanthropists on that group, and so now we have a school-based person that can represent. So I'm grateful for that. And then we have an awesome group of superintendents that have divided up the Senate Bill 241 on literacy, and we've each taken a specific aspect of that bill. Like, we're responsible, the group I'm working with is responsible for all of the training for teachers and admin and paraprofessionals, and putting together resources that can be shared across all of the districts. And so every superintendent that's part of this, they're a part of that group, so that we can really own this and really move the needle. And I think we're getting a laser-like focus on that. So I'm grateful that we're seeing some traction in some things. I'm grateful to see superintendents talking a lot more about student learning and literacy than I feel like they've been talking a lot about compliance and frustrations with the state and different things. And now it feels like it's moving in the direction of being really student-centered, and I'm just really grateful for that. So there's just a lot of gratitude. I'm grateful for the rest, and now I'm ready to get ready for next year. So here we go. I'm ready to get ready.
Nice. That was an exciting report, Wendy. Thank you. And I happened to see Wendy like first thing Monday morning, and I could see how rejuvenated you were. It made me so happy to see, and we're all so glad that you could get that much needed break. So before we close the meeting, I just want to remind the public that our next meeting is next Tuesday night at 6 p.m. We have a hearing about our budget tax rate. And then the next week is our normal board meeting on the 23rd, and we will also have a hearing there to approve our final budget as well. And then we take July off from our board meetings. So with that, do we have a motion to adjourn?
I move that we adjourn.
Motion made by Board Member Boyce. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Vice President Hales, and we are now adjourned. Everyone have a great night.
Thank you, everyone.